Alright, howdy y'all. This is Guardian of Ultima here, back with another video about another shard. Today we're going to be talking about UO Lost Lands. This one was a player request by Papy. So this one goes out to you. Again, our UOscams is the only place to go when you are looking for a shard. Okay, so let's get into this. I took a look at this shard, Lost Lands. Here's a screenshot from their homepage. You can see they got this kind of sword logo here at the top. It says a free T2A Ultima Online shard. T2A is the second age, and basically this was the first expansion to the game, the original game that came out, Ultima Online. So T2A is the second age. It's the first expansion. It's a map where you can go and you can fight monsters and you can fight players. And the gameplay, aside from the map, the gameplay for T2A, these days people have an expectation of it's kind of an era, basically, is what we call it. And the gameplay, there's this kind of expectation that the gameplay will revolve around 1v1 uh, PvP, basically. One player versus one other player. And so you'll see, here on the right, you see the 1v1 leaderboard, right? This kind of shard. They have events, leaderboards, this My UO button here on their website. Probably you could look up your character stats and stuff like that. I like that on sites, on shards that have that. I think that's pretty cool. So everything looks pretty normal here so far. It says free to connect and play with Razer. So you don't need their custom client or their potential spy client. Could be looking up anything with anything, you know what I mean? With a custom client or a launcher or anything like that. So you can just log into this. All you need is Razer. Login.uolostlands.com is the login info. The port is 2593. Alright, so let's take a look here. I went and took a look at their rules. And I seen, most everything looks pretty good, actually. It says, veteran staff or something. Let's take a look here. These are some of the things that screenshots I took of rules that, these are the ones that I look out for when I'm worried about mod abuse, right? Uh, if you're being harassed in okay, I'll start from the beginning. Staff do not enforce or investigate anything that is said in a PM between players, unless the person is breaking the impersonation rule. If you are being harassed in a PM, block the person. There is a permissions group in Discord called the Naughty Corner, which will be used for soft or temporary bans. People in this group will not be able to speak in the majority of channels, but will still be able to private message. People will be placed in this group when they are being a disruption to the main channel. There has been a lot of antisocial behavior in Discord recently, and we'd like to stomp this out as it is entirely unwelcoming to new players. Okay. Here's another one. Staff reserve the right to ban trolls or unruly people. The decision to kick or ban players from the network is entirely at staff discretion, right? So basically, a rule like this just discounts all your other rules because you're just basically saying we can also just ban you anyways. Okay, so I guess, what does that say, right? Uh, a shard by players for players. Okay. UO Lost Lands is brought to you by UO veterans of over 15 years. Like many others, we have experienced the good and the bad of Ultima Online. As such, we are dedicated to bringing a great game experience. We have worked slowly toward creating both a fun and authentic experience, taking care with each change we make. The Shard will continue to see content updates and mechanical adjustments from our passionate staff. Right? So it looks pretty good. I just, this whole we reserve the right to just ban trolls. You can just label anybody a troll. It could be just somebody who's got a lot of criticism. Critical things to say, right? Like, we've talked about that in my past videos about how sometimes there's negativity rules, and negativity is what criticism is. It's negative feedback, right? Anyways, when I'm looking at a shard, I like to go to their about page. About us, it says, I won't bother to read all this, but it says at the bottom, our staff are second to none. We are friendly and willing to hear out your ideas or complaints. Okay, so they're willing to hear your complaints, right? Okay. So here's a player with a complaint. I looked in their Discord, right? This Beavis person is a mod. They introduced themselves to me, I think, in the channel. And it all went well, professional or whatever. Just I asked if he's been a mod for a while, who the admins were or what. If they're veteran players, they've been around for a while. People know who they are, right? And yeah, so I just said hello. And okay, so this is a player with a complaint. The player's name is Happy Gilmore, and the mod's name here is Beavis. This is the very start. These two have a long interaction, basically, between one another in the main channel of the Discord of this Lost Lands server. It's just these two going back and forth. It all comes out of nowhere. It just starts right here. So it looks like, to me, these guys were behind closed doors, trying to talk things out, and it wasn't going well. That's my take from after reading this, but we'll go through it. Okay, so here's Happy Gilmore. He says, with enough complaining, you guys will get whatever you need. Beavis says, don't be a clown right away, right? Happy Gilmore says, am I wrong? And Beavis says, yeah, you are wrong. You are wrong, yeah. You bitch about people complaining when you probably have complained the most. So complaining, they did just say, right, like, our staff are second to none. We are friendly and willing to hear out your complaints or ideas. You bitch about people complaining when you probably have complained the most. How do you figure that? One and only thing I brought up is Tamers killing Krampus in 20 seconds. That is it. Are you sure? So why bitch about other people's complaining? Because AOJ complained to Zell because a guildmate was blocking pass with 3 of his characters. Zell jailed him. If you don't think that is abuse of power, then we can stop chatting now. Okay, so this was a GM intervention in player versus player combat. I guess that's my take from this. I basically just compiled all the screenshots of this chat so that we could take a look at it, and I haven't even really read the fine details of it yet. So this is kind of my reaction to this as well. You can see how it's going, though. Beavis says, how do you know for a fact it was AOJ? And yeah, it's not an abuse of power. If you have an issue, you can take it up with staff and not throw stupid comments in chat about it. So go back behind closed doors, right? Where have we seen this before? Seriously, you're acting like a child. How old are you again? So just berating this player now in the public channel. You guys upset about stacking 3 tunes with a minimum health to give counts at an event, a Christmas event. Like, bro, don't be such a boomer. Okay, so he's calling him old or something, I think. Um, and it looks like the player was using their 3 characters. You probably are allowed to have 3 accounts on this shard, so you can have 3 characters logged in at the same time. And so when he's saying uh, stacking 3 tunes with minimum health to give counts, right? He's talking about giving murder counts because they have to basically kill these characters to get past them. You can't really block with characters, though. I don't really know how it works on Lost Lands. I'm guessing if it's T2A, what's normal is you just lose some stamina. When you step over another player, you push them out of the way, take some stamina. But, most people have potions for that or food. So it's not really something that you would expect a GM to intervene on. Okay, so let's get through this. He said, I didn't complain I was blocked. That person would be the child, correct? No, the person still fuming in chat about it hours later is the child. And still complaining about it. I love that you don't see your complaint about other people's complaints is complaining. Am I wrong? In fact, I'm almost certain it wasn't AOJ, but sure, go ahead and blame AOJ. Whoever was in the sandstone, Jace was in there. Nice of you to assume something you know nothing about, but please, any other complaints you want to dish out while you've got the room. I mean, this is kind of not what I would say is professional when it comes to moderating, right? He says, I am sure I will be muted like Decafe and Rainmaker, so there seems to be some muting going on with this mod or something. Must be an abuse of mod powers, huh? Oh, darn the community players. He's dropping memes now. He's throwing a meme in there. Happy Gilmore says, if you don't see that Zell interfering with gameplay by jailing characters for blocking an abuse of power, then make it Trammel, right? We've talked about Trammel and Feluca in my past videos. Trammel is, of course, consensual player versus player. I think it's actually completely blocked, but consensual in the way that you can go to Feluca, where it's a different facet, where you have different rules, where you're allowed to attack each other freely, right? Okay, here's Beavis. I see Zell creating gameplay and being an active GM and preventing 2 clowns from griefing an event. I see your complaining as Trammel. Okay, again, I'm just going to flash this right here. I see your complaining as Trammel. Right beside, our staff are second to none. We are friendly and willing to hear out your ideas or your complaints. Okay. Griefing is Feluca, UO fool. Stop being a child or a snowflake. Someone getting triggered now? 25-year-old game, and this is what you're crying about? Blocking is against what rule? Preventing griefing an event. Event. This isn't also, I went through the rules. Nothing about events or griefing events or preventing at events. There's nothing like that in the rules. The rules look pretty good, other than the things that I showed you, those little clips. But there was nothing at all. There still isn't. There's nothing in there about preventing or griefing an event. And one of the things they're saying in their rules is that they're veterans, 15 years, right? They have rules that you would expect for a 15-year vets or whatever they're saying, right? They've been around for 15 years in the game or whatever of making shards, I guess, and the rules look pretty legit. But there's nothing about these events, whatever they're talking about here. And he just says the event didn't even start yet. Beavis says, so I don't really care if you want to die on this hill, but you're being a child about it. You and your buds are the only ones who think you're not in the wrong here, and quite frankly, no one cares except you and your buddies, right? And a lot of times, when a mod is behaving like this, the no one cares thing, no one's going to say anything because they just don't want to get involved with a mod who's being unprofessional like this, basically, right? So it's gaslighting. Once Grinch was active, it would have vaporized the blockers, correct? No, you were preventing active PvP from happening and griefing players by stacking low health characters to give counts. Don't try to pretend you weren't doing douchey shit, right? My my point when things get inconvenient, you guys have a direct line to Zell. Again, oh, here's another meme here. Again, I am almost certain it was an AOJ. My point is no one cares about your griefing, and it'll be handled here when it needs to be on a case-by-case basis. Perks of an active server, but sure, go ahead and complain here and chat about it some more hours later. Okay, he's dropping clown emojis here, and he's dropping memes and emojis. I never claimed that. I'm just telling you to shut the fuck up now, basically. And Happy Gilmore's here saying, my guild is breaking no rules by making low-level strength characters. I play UO differently. I don't care about Neon's clothes or deco. I play to outsmart players, dump counts, and so on. Right? So he's just using this as a strategy. If they're going to be, I guess, maybe he's got low strength characters, so maybe these people are throwing purple potions and killing his characters. They're getting murder counts. What's the problem with being red if you're out there, throwing purple potions around, right? Like, you're supposed to be red because you want to fight, don't you? And there's GMs getting involved, so, interfering to help their buddies, maybe, right? With this situation about the murder counts. Okay? Nobody likes blue PKs, basically. Blue player killers. People who are PKing and they're staying blue because they're just killing and staying within the timer for, each murder count that you get for each murder to decay. Right? He says, my guild is breaking no rules. Play UO differently. Dump counts and so on. And there's emojis. So stack your characters elsewhere. And not the event in a bottlenecked location. I don't care how much you rationalize and justify yourselves. I play UO differently. Okay, bud. He still didn't break any rules, right? It's still not breaking any rules. Sure, bud. Take it with staff. I'm sure they're quite worried about your input. Go ahead and try this. This is like, this is the opposite of holding your fucking self accountable, right? I hate this shit. Just hold yourself accountable. That's what you have to do. Or do you just not want to be a mod? You want to be a griefer? You want to be like this? You want to just go and PK? Then don't be the mod. Right? You don't need to be the mod. It doesn't say anything about you to be the mod. Just do the job, right? Take it with staff. I'm sure they're quite worried about your input. Go ahead and try this again tomorrow with Leon. Leon is an admin there. That's I had asked about that as well. Oh, have popcorn ready. Do us a favor and let us know when it happens so we can watch. Another meme. Take this scenario. Jace bought over 60 tame pets and gated them all in Eubank to block my rune spots. Do you think he should have been jailed? I'm not even going to humor your scenarios, he says. Just have an open mind. Again, I'm not even going to humor your scenarios. Because he shouldn't be. It didn't even dawn on me to complain to a GM. Again, no one really cares but you. Right, the other 15... So he's saying other people are using dirty tactics too. And T2A kind of was a dirty era in the game's history, right? There was no limit to how many pets you could tame. And we're talking about dragons here, right? You could have a screen full of dragons, or a boatload of dragons, or a boatload of drakes. Like anything, under the sun. There was a lot of dirty tactics being used. So that's what that's kind of the expectation, right? pretty sure I saw more than 15 players at the event. At the time of that first screenshot, it looked like it said 22 online. So, not the strongest player base, but maybe this video, which in the future I'm going to send it to them and try and get their response, see how they respond to the video. Hopefully, we see positive changes, right? Because this is not acceptable in my opinion. Be professional, or just shut down, right? Enough is it. Like, don't abuse players. We want this player, if he's gonna leave, to go to another shard and feel like he's not gonna get attacked by mods, right? But it seems like this trend of there's nowhere to go, right? Because you're just getting attacked by mods. Nobody's holding themselves accountable. So I took all these screenshots and compiled them. It says, just like you are almost certain AOJ didn't complain. I think he's trying to connect the GM, helping out his buddies or something, right? Pretty certain about that, yep. Were you not stacking low health tunes at a bottleneck to the active event? Have an open mind. Again, there's no rules here being broken. Might not be AOJ tag, but an ally. Only 3 groups of people here, maybe 4 counting BD. Now the story changes. Look at that. So now we know you were doing this. Care to explain why you were doing it? It's not breaking any rules, fool. Don't be a child. He's just kind of, he's being a little bit belligerent, right? This Beavis chap. It says, you were griefing an event, plain and simple. I don't care if you don't think you were. The GM said that wasn't allowed. Okay, sometimes GMs will say something somewhere in a chat log or something about don't grief the event, right? Siege Perilous players will know what I'm talking about. I'm going to make a video about this later. But it was an event. It was the first event of the Shard. Classic, Feluca, and in the field right outside where everyone, player versus player combats all the time. They fight each other in the East Brit farms, right? In the West Brit farms. And in the Brit farms, and there was an event there. The GMs said, no looting, no corpse looting, and no res killing. They made a rule up for that event. And you just can't do that, right? You have a rules page. If you want rules against events, you have to put them on the rules page, right? I read through the rules. It all looks good. You don't want to have secret rules, right? Because then it really just undermines everything. So, again, it all looks professional until you actually take a look at it, right? He says, yes, that is true. He's saying it's not a rule violation. End of conversation. Zell isn't playing God. He's not abusing powers. He's hosting a holiday event for the community. Why would he let a clown stop other players from participating? So they're going to log out if they turn red while they're killing players? I don't understand. He is overstepping his role. How so? I'm sorry you feel that way. But you were griefing an event, plain and simple. You know why UO Second Age only has 4 active players, right? Because of shit like blocking events with low health tunes. UOSA is Second Age. It's another shard. Basically, sounds like very similar to this Lost Lands. I grief other players, but I still enjoyed the event. And AFK tracking. Nice to hear you say the quiet part out loud. Finally, I grief other players. It doesn't say anything in the rules about don't grief other players at all. It did just say we reserve the right to ban trolls. So I guess if you grief other players, you're a troll. I guess that's their logic for how they can interfere in gameplay that is expected, maybe to help their buddies, right? So now he's taking screenshots from this. Next time you cry about something again, I'll be sure to remind you of that. I'm not crying about anything. Nah, no crying, no bitching, no complaints. Is there supposed to be no complaints? Or were we supposed to have staff that are second to none? Friendly and willing to hear out your complaints, right? Anyways, it just goes on like this. I'm just going to zoom all the way out so we can count the memes. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. All of these memes. Let's take a look. All of the memes are by Beavis. 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 He's also dropping emojis. More memes. Beavis. Beavis. Yeah, it's Beavis. 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 I'm not sure if this last one's a meme, but it's dropping memes. I see a lot of emojis in there. It ends with well, here we can kind of go back through that a little bit. We're pretty much at the end here. I'm not complaining about that. Okay. Why does Jace block my runes at Bank? I'm not complaining about that. Did you complain during the Harrower event of yours when you killed my stealther? Not to a GM, and I didn't cry about it hours later here. I said something to you right away about it. Okay, so you got a mod who says something to you right away about PvP or something. Oh, are you hoping I cried to a GM about you? Honey, you're not that special. You are not going to have an open mind about anything I bring up because you're already bitter. Yeah, I would say he seems pretty bitter. The only bitter one is you. I don't care to humor your griefing, so you can rationalize yourself and justify being a clown at a community event, right? So the events that they're throwing are a different rule set from the one they're advertising. And it kind of dips into false advertising, right? Happy Gilmore here says, I know you didn't complain to a GM, fool. This is UO, princess. And yet you're still complaining. What am I complaining about? He's complaining about the fact that enough complaining will get you whatever you need, maybe GM intervention in the field, right? 3 times that one player on Outlands got paged in about the other player casting invisible spell on his pet, and it blew up into basically one of these situations, right? Mod abuse. It is a true statement. Let's see if next holiday event, if chests can be magic locked. You know they won't be, but they weren't adjusted during the event. So something custom going on here that I don't know what it is, but it says, but here you are ready to complain about the changes an active server makes. Are you a Karen, bro? Laughing my fucking ass off? Seriously, are you? Now, why would they change the chests? Did someone complain? Take it with staff. It's their decision, not mine. I already said I didn't make the claim to call the shots here. Did I make the game inconvenient for someone? But I wonder, what does locking a chest permanently do? It's a griefing behavior? Okay, it serves no purpose but to grief, and it locks a player out from content. Albeit it's content from a chest. It should be adjusted, yes. If there was a way to remove the lock, that would be a different scenario. So it sounds like they added something wrong, they did something wrong, and they're kind of blaming players for, trolling people with it, basically. Things get heated when there's player versus player combat. And I think that the staff should take some onus, right? That's what they're supposed to do. That's why they're saying they're veterans, so they know. That's what they're supposed to do. Our staff are second to none. We are friendly and willing to hear out your ideas or complaints, right? They're basically saying that this kind of thing isn't going to happen, but here it is happening. And this happened in January 14th, 2023. So that's this year. 8 months ago. Um, So it is not. I saw that people were not doing the main event, but only doing chess. If your sole intent is to be an asshole, so he's trying to. I guess there was an actual reason he was doing this thing. Uh, if your sole intent is to be an asshole, don't be surprised when others begin to treat you as such. And here you are, clearly going over your intents, and it's simply to be an asshole. So he's just calling him an asshole in a public channel. It's not cool. I'm attacked on sight. I enjoy the attention, right? This guy doesn't seem to have any problem with it. He knows what's going on here. This guy's bitter about whatever, and he's not really letting it get to him. Beavis says, "Sure, but you're quick to complain about a mechanic that gets abused." Tamer killing Krampus thing, or be quick to complain about blocking players from a community event when a GM takes action, when he already stated a warning about such. I'm sorry, it wasn't quick. It was hours later. And this is what I'm talking about. GMs stating a warning in Discord that they will take action against this this action. It's not in the rules, but they're kind of making up the rules as they go along, because you'll see this a lot when it's complaint based enforcement of rules. So it's not really the rules they're enforcing complaints, right? It's like when you can just and it's funny because it's gaslighting, because Beavis is talking about Karen, and Karen is like, I'm not going to explain what Karen is, but if somebody's Karen calling, the GMs or the cops or something, it would be like if somebody Karen calls the cops because they thought something looked suspicious at your house, and the cops show up and arrest you just because somebody said you look suspicious, right? Like, and there's gaslighting going on here. He's just straight up calling him an asshole in the public channel. I'm not impressed. I don't like to see this. I was thinking this looked like a pretty good shard until I saw this shit going on, right? And those rules that have to be changed, in my opinion. When prior warning was made, it was an inconvenience. Red pot, teleport, time, Sam regen. Wasn't an inconvenience, it was grief. You knew that someone dropped a purple potion, and that was an instant 3 counts. Okay, so it was a purple potion thing. Okay, I called that one. Purple potions do an area of effect damage, right? So basically the 9 tiles around the center tile where the potion ends up will all take damage. And so if you have a few low strength characters, like characters with 10 strength might take enough damage that they're dying, right? And sometimes players will do something like this to make purple potion players, like people that just are only using purple potions, or they're overusing them, or whatever. It's a strategy, right? It's Feluca gameplay. There's nothing going on here that's wrong. But that's grief at a community event. Just shut the fuck up, asshole, basically. Yes, grief. You make it seem like it's bad. He's griefing because he's antagonizing the other players to try and make them want to fight more, That's what PvPers do. You can do this all you want, all year long, just not at the community event held by a GM for players. This is Feluca UO. Are you special? I sure am, bud. Get the fuck over it. 1 hour later, and you're still trying to justify your shit. Shaking my head with an emoji. Are red PKs griefers, or is that okay in your special eyes? All right, not going to humor your scenarios. Open your mind to letting our friends throw purple potions wherever the hell they want with no repercussions. Like I said, you were bitter towards me before this day even started. Bitter? Nah, I haven't attacked you in game. That's others. I leave you alone because you stack counts. But you're the one that attacked me, and eventually you died. Did you stack 3 counts on my bard at the Harrower? Yeah, you did. Again, you're not that special, sweetheart. I honestly know that you are marijuana. I don't know your other alt, so his character name is Marijuana. Nice of you to assume, huh? Medusa is my other. Your bag is on my porch. All yours, I have plenty more. Medusa, lose that red horse. Yes, you owe Lost Lands. It's linked to something. I went out as a target. I'm happy to provide an extra gift at my death. So he did die to this guy. Kate wasn't sure if it was part of event or if a player lost it. It was my contribution. I didn't get a red horse. Okay. Nah, because apparently Grofus and I are the only ones crazy enough to go out with one with the intent of them dying. Art 2, actually, there's a screenshot here. Not a red one here, but a silver one. Everyone keeps them locked up like a rare. All the same to me. Agreed. Well, so this thing is dying down here. It says they have more stamina than a regular horse, so that part is good too. Same as Frenzy. They're just basically kind of, agreeing to disagree at this point. Uh, Happy Gilmore kept it going for a long time. Like, that's a long chat, right? That's a lot. And no other player stepped in to say, hey, professionalism or anything, right? Because they don't want to lose their items. So it really, it comes down to the mods and the admins. They have to hold themselves accountable. They just have to. Nobody else is going to do it. So this is why this shit goes on like this. Happy Gilmore basically is just like, fuck, whatever. And this is the only infraction that I saw on the shard. It could be that this kind of thing has happened before. It said in the chat there's been some things going on that I didn't see, so, doesn't look very good. This isn't, it's not rocket science. You have to follow your own rules. Just go every once a month or something, maybe read through the about page and the rules page and make sure that, you're not deluded about what type of shard it is, what the rules are supposed to be, the rules that the admins have to follow, which is the rule set, the set of rules that the admins have to abide, right? And it just dies there. Somebody else starts talking, and then that was it. They they stopped at this point. And this Beavis person is still a mod today. Like I said, he introduced himself to me when I joined the channel. So that's what's going on Lost Lands. Right on. Good job, Payp, asking me to check out this shard. I'm glad I did. I'm hoping that we see some positive change over on Lost Lands as a result of this video. Goes without saying, this is the type of thing I don't like to see. Don't advertise as one thing and then be another thing. It's not necessary, right? But I think I've given enough of a lecture for Lost Lands tonight. I hope they take it to heart and become a good shard and do better than that, because we need good shards out there right now. Stay tuned for my next video. It's going to be really awesome. I've got some good things coming up here, some really juicy dirt, and it's very dirty, so stay tuned for that.